This is BBC World News. I'm Victoria Fritz. The headlines for you. Opinion polls suggest that the US presidential election race is tightening as it enters its final week. Both candidates are visiting key battleground states. Hillary Clinton has labelled Donald Trump a bully, while he's calling her corrupt. A long-awaited report into South Africa's President Jacob Zuma has found evidence of possible corruption at the top level of government. Thousands have taken to the streets demanding that he step down. Iraqi forces have begun to push into residential areas in the fight to retake the city of Mosul from so-called Islamic State. They've entered the city for the first time since it was taken in 2014. And flight investigators in Australia say analysis of the wreckage suggests that Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 did not make a controlled landing into the Indian Ocean. It's a thumbs down from Facebook. The social media giant doesn't like an insurer's plans to set premiums by looking at drivers' profiles. And digging herself out of a hole, US coal miners say they won't vote for Hillary Clinton as she pledges to move away from fossil fuels if she becomes president. Hello and a very warm welcome to World Business Report. I'm Victoria Fritz. Now, in a minute, we're going to be looking at the resilience of family firms. But first, let's talk about Facebook. It's a popular way to share your news with friends and family. But what about what sort of driver you might be? Now, it sounds strange, but until yesterday, the UK insurance group Admiral was planning to ask young drivers for access to their accounts to offer a discount on car insurance. Now, Facebook, though, refused. Alex Wood is the editor-in-chief at the tech publication The Memo, and he explains what might be behind the seeming contradiction.
It can be seen as very much something of a reactionary move. As you mentioned, Facebook famously do use our data to be able to sell advertising, and then on top of that, let's not forget that there are so many sites that we use every single day where we sign in and share our data with commercial partners. So it seems particularly strange in this example that Admiral and Facebook both didn't see this coming and didn't actually sort this out earlier. Actually, I'm surprised that Facebook aren't seeing a huge business opportunity about this. They've been using all this data to be able to advertise more, but this data is so valuable to insurers, it's valuable to companies as well, and I think this is an exciting new form of money that the business like Facebook can be looking at. There'll be a lot of younger people, and frankly I think everyone who is using Facebook should be thinking a little bit more carefully about what it means from the data we put out there. To give you some examples, there have been numerous times when people have lost out on jobs because you get some employers who go out there and start looking at publicly available data on social media and decide to pull the job offer. So I think you're completely right, and if people do decide to change their social media history and clean things up, it completely undermines the model that Facebook is building.
There's less than a week to go before the US presidential election, and the future of the energy industry is helping people in West Virginia make up their minds. Now, the coal industry is one of the state's biggest employers. Hillary Clinton has been in trouble since she said in March, "We are going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business." From Boone County, Michelle Fleury sent this report.
Thick canopy of trees, it's hard to believe this is the heart of American coal country. In just 7 years, coal production in the area has dropped 50%. David Green lost his coal job in April. Now he runs a farm stand.
The mines is for the money and the guaranteed money. I mean, you make good wages, a little risky, but it's real good money. I would not support Hillary because she is dead against the coal, and Donald is the best of the two evils.
Many here feel left behind, forgotten. Coal jobs have been crushed by technology, cheaper natural gas and tougher environmental rules. With each mine closure and each bankruptcy, there have been more jobs lost, and that's meant more pain in communities like this. Pro-coal West Virginia used to be out-and-out unionised Democrat territory, but Bill Clinton was the last Democratic presidential candidate to win this state. Nowadays, folk here are turning to Donald Trump. Many people in the region feel abandoned by politicians, even those fighting against the coal industry, like activist Maria Gano.
We built this country from the coal that's been mined out of the ground that has made this steel and powered this country throughout this country. And we are owed something back. We're owed something more than the pollution and the poverty.
Few here expect the coal industry to return to its glory days, but Donald Trump is offering hope to a group who don't feel politicians in Washington speak for them. Michelle Fleury, BBC News, West Virginia.
Now, in many countries around the world, family-run businesses contribute the bulk of economic output, and they're a key source of job creation. Forbes estimates that more than half of America's gross national product is actually generated by family businesses. But new research by PricewaterhouseCoopers suggests that while many family firms have ambitious expansion plans, only a limited number of them actually achieve their goals. It says that a lack of skills, funding, planning, and also family disputes mean that only a few of them reach their growth targets. Well, with me now is Sian Steele, who is a UK family business leader at PwC. Welcome to the programme, Sian. Is the problem that these growth targets might just be a little bit unrealistic?
I think the growth targets are not unrealistic, but I think that what happens is that while family businesses globally are very good at responding to immediate challenge, and they've proven themselves to be good at longevity and managing the stewardship of a family business, they don't always have the right skills at board level or within the family to really set a strategic plan. So we're not talking business goals, we're talking real strategy to get from where you are today to where you want to be.
So what are the defining characteristics of a family business that does well, that succeeds in achieving its goals?
A family business that does well and succeeds in achieving its goals is one where they have great diversity on their board, they create a culture of challenge, they have good communication networks, and they have clear motivation and ambition and goals that are achievable. But if you don't have the diversity of thought and the challenge and the skill, actually it's hard to do that.
But it's very difficult to get that diversity if it's a family-run business, no?
It is, absolutely. So we see people deal with that in a number of ways. They can either look at sending out family members to gain different experience outside the family firm, or through education, or actually some of them bring in external members to provide that diversity of thought and challenge.
Now, one of the big sort of changes, of course, the technological age, it's sort of the fourth industrial revolution. Does that help or hinder family businesses? Is enough being made of it?
It's challenging. I mean, actually in our research we found that only 25% of family businesses felt that digitisation was going to be make them vulnerable. At one level that made me terrified. Equally, we saw some fantastic examples of family businesses being able to quickly adapt to new technology, quickly make a decision on something they were going to do differently. Examples like logging firms in Canada who are using robotics. Some really creative market leading opportunities, innovation that we're seeing them take up.
Now, it's interesting, isn't it? When we think of family businesses, we often think of small businesses, but that's not necessarily the case at all.
Absolutely not. There's some fantastic household names, lots of the products that people use every day, lots of the businesses that we think of as being massive conglomerates actually are family owned. In the UK, 51% of GDP is driven by family owned businesses. If you look across Asia and indeed America, it's a much higher number. So this is not unusual.
Okay. Sian, we're going to leave it there. Sian Steele, thank you very much from PwC.
Thank you.
Now let's check in with the markets. The Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates unchanged, just days, of course, before Americans choose a new president. But they've hinted yet again that they're likely to raise rates at the upcoming meeting. Now, the Fed says that the case for a rate hike has continued to strengthen, they said, but that the panel decided to wait for the time being until further evidence of progress towards its objectives were made. So we're seeing a little bit of a flight to safety among investors. Perceived safe havens like gold and the Japanese yen have been rising in value. Equities have been on the slide, as you can see, across Europe for most of the session. The FTSE 100 down 1%. Similar picture in the DAX in Frankfurt and CAC 40 in Paris as well. One little bit of news for you. The steel-making ingredient iron ore has actually hit a 6-month high, spurred on by strong manufacturing data from China, which is, of course, the world's largest consumer of commodities. Got plenty more coming up for you a little bit later on Business Live with Michelle Fleury. I'll see you very soon.